Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS news for Tuesday, August 24, 2021. The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, is now in a much better position to detect forged documents with its new document forensic laboratory. The facility was officially opened last Thursday with $20 million in support funding from the UK government. Chief Executive Officer of PICA, Andrew Winter, says over the last 5 years, the agency has uncovered approximately 700 cases of persons using fraudulent or forged documents to obtain benefits.
In order for us to be able to identify these documents and to ensure that criminals are not successful, we need this document forensic lab, which can look at documents in a forensic way to identify how they lift the documents, how they make the changes to the documents. And these changes are not visible to the naked eye. But by doing the forensic analysis of the document, the ink, the paper, the kind of paper, we will be able to detect these things.
Mr. Winter says each year PICA processes an average of 200,000 passport applications, 4,000 citizenships, and approximately 4 million visitors to the island. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Senator Matthew Samuda, says the government remains resolute in improving border security.
This sort of investment moves us into the 21st century. It moves us into being able to say to our partners, to businesses locally who have to use passports to verify identity, that they can trust the systems that we have in place. Now, that trust is particularly important as we seek to become a digitized society, as we seek to grow our country in the 21st century.
To date, 30 employees have been trained to use the necessary equipment. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government is taking a three-pronged approach to tackling crime and violence on the island.
We will make the necessary legal changes to ensure that we have the right mix of policies to address this specific kind of challenge which faces the Jamaican state. The police has engaged in surge operations, and that would have been accompanied, you would have noticed, by the establishment of some curfews in some areas. And it is having an impact.
The Prime Minister's comments follow a 10% surge in murders for the first 8 months of 2021 when compared to this time last year. Police statistics show that 4 of the 5 police divisions in Kingston and St. Andrew, as well as the tri-parishes of Westmoreland, Hanover and St. James, account for 60% of all murders committed in 2021.
We give the commitment to the Jamaican people that we continue to work very hard despite the challenges.
Over $400 million has been secured to expand the National Social Housing Program. The initiative, which is in its first phase, has been allotted $500 million by the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. However, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the state was able to get an additional $400 million to scale up the program from 259 to 520 units in the fiscal year.
Part of the deal is that you become ambassadors for peace, for positive thinking and a positive outlook, and how people who maintain hope, that eventually their hope will be rewarded.
Mr. Holness was speaking Friday as he handed over 2 3-bedroom units to families in West Central St. Andrew. The units were each built at a cost of $8 million. Still on housing, on Friday, the Prime Minister broke ground for the construction of houses for 12 families in Bellrock, West Central St. Andrew, whose dwellings were destroyed by fire in 2019. Mr. Holness says construction was delayed mainly to facilitate the development of a proper sewerage system, which is funded to the tune of $100 million by the National Water Commission and the National Housing Trust, NHT. He says additional lands are being sought to construct more houses to replace other dwellings in Bellrock.
We are still looking in the community for properties that we can purchase and redevelop. And the West Central St. Andrew Trust is looking to spearhead that, because we have taken the view that if we're going to develop the community, yes, we have to develop the people's minds, but we also have to improve the conditions under which people live.
403 Justices of the Peace, JPs, are now serving Manchester, following last Thursday's commissioning ceremony for 60 newly minted JPs in Mandeville. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is encouraging the JPs to not only fight against societal problems, but also the pandemic by reinforcing accurate vaccination messages.
I'm going to be dependent on the JPs across the island to be the voice of enlightenment, to be the voice of persuasion, to urge community members to participate. The sooner 60% of the island can get vaccination, the greater the likelihood that we can start returning to normality.
Minister Chuck says while he's hoping that vaccination does not become mandatory in Jamaica, he believes that more should be done to convince citizens of the importance of the vaccine. And finally, operations at the island's courts have been adjusted as a result of the announcement of no movement days. The changes were made on August 23 and 24 to include full and early closure and will again take place on August 30 and 31. Other changes include the suspension of reporting conditions for bail by persons to police stations. This will be reinstated after the expiration of no movement days. Parish courts will only hear emergency matters, and new dates are already assigned for matters that were listed on no movement days. In relation to persons with matters listed at the Corporate Area Civil Court for August 23 and 24, they are to attend on Wednesday. The Traffic Court will only be airing matters where persons have been arrested on warrants. Cases for August 23 and 24 have been rescheduled for October 11 and 12. The Judiciary of Jamaica says while the courts are exempt under the Disaster Risk Management Act, the changes are necessary due to challenges for some persons to appear in court and also for staff who require public transportation. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.